welcome to my channel on the best of fantasy. This is the week that was, and let's not talk about how long it's been since I recorded an episode of the week that was. Let's just say that I have plenty of updates for you all, and here they come. So on the channel, I had several episodes of Dear Dr. Fantasy. There was an episode with Ben since the last time I did one of these update wrap-up videos, and I just had a great time. This is Ben from Overly Average Ben. Wonderful channel. I just love Ben's sense of humor, but also his insights. He's a brilliant person, and it was just so much fun to talk with Ben and get to know him a little bit better. And he and I are going to even be doing a read-along later this year that I'm very excited about. So yeah, it was just a great episode of Dear Dr. Fantasy, one of my favorite things to do on this platform. Had another wonderful episode, an epic episode, a return. It's the first time I've ever done a return guest on Dear Dr. Fantasy, and it was a very special occasion. It was an episode with none other than Alan from the Library of Alexandria. Alan, why do you have such a long name? Alexandria. I can't even say Alexandria anymore. I always say Alexandria. But anyway, it was just so great to catch up with Alan, particularly after he had a little bit of a run-in. A little run-in with fate. Fortunately, we have Alan back with us in our community, and I think that we are all most grateful for that. And it was just a great time for me to chat with Alan. And you realize, you should realize all the time how important your friends are to you. But the car accident that Alan was in, I think, was a reminder to us all of just how precious he is for all of us in our community. So it was great to be able to catch up with him. And have him as the first and so far only return guest for Dear Dr. Fantasy. And I had another episode with the dynamic duo of the brothers Gwyn. Ed and Will came on the channel. We had a wonderful time talking. It had been a little while since I had the privilege and the honor of talking to those two. I just feel like we have so much to talk about because we have so many reading tastes in common. And I absolutely adore their father's books. John, in case you didn't know, the brothers Gwyn, yes, they are the sons of John Gwyn, author of The Faithful and the Fallen, and of Blood and Bone, and the Bloodsworn trilogy. So yeah, it's just these two in and of themselves, though, aside from that really cool fact to be related to John Gwyn, they have a great channel, and theirs is the channel I go to for not only fantasy, but historical fiction. I don't know anyone else as well-read in historical fiction as Ed and Will. And I just love hearing about what they're reading and their insights into what they've read. So just a great, and just the warmth of the interactions between the two of them is something special as well. That is a part of, for me, the appeal of their channel for sure. And I also had an episode with Josh from Red Fury Books, and that was another great episode. Josh is a fantastic fellow, and I love talking to anyone who is a musician. I'm a little bit envious, to be honest, of people who are accomplished musicians. As someone myself who has merely dabbled in a few instruments here and there, the people who are really accomplished musicians are just, I respect them a lot. And Josh is actually pretty good, I hear, on several instruments, trumpet being one of them, and also the bass. And I think there's one other that he's actually proficient on, and then a bunch of other ones that he's learned. So that's just amazing to me, and I admire that talent tremendously. But in terms of BookTube, he has an amazing channel. Josh is incredibly well read, not only in fantasy but outside of the genre as well. And that brings a lot of insight, I think, into his fantasy reading too. The fact that he's so well read, so broadly read, that adds a lot of depth to his insights as well. So yeah, those were all fun. And I also had, since the last time I've done one of these update videos, I had my winter TBR. So that was great, and my highly aspirational, as usual, seasonal TBR. And I'm excited about the books that I have already read and the ones that I have coming up. And by the way, this looks really bad. This is not as bad as it looks. This pile of books next to me, I will explain in a moment. This is more than it seems, so I will explain. But yeah, I am being a bit ambitious with my TBR for sure. But yes, I also had a top reads of 2022 video that has done very, very well. People love hearing about people's top reads, and I enjoy hearing about other people's top reads. And so it was great to get lots of comments and feedback on that one. And it really, looking back, was a marvelous year for me on the channel. Just not only reading some great stuff, but having the opportunity to talk to my fellow creators here on BookTube, but also to interact with you all in the comments. Just a fantastic year, and I thank you all for being part of it. I just enjoyed 2022 tremendously. I feel like every year I am getting further along in my quest to find the best of fantasy. So the problem is there are just so many. I'm never going to run out of reads, which is a good problem, I suppose. So yeah, that happened, and then I did some reviews, of course. I love doing reviews. They're the backbone, I think, of the channel, the foundation, if you will. And so I reviewed the self-published book, A Touch of Light by Thiago Abdallah. And also, and by the way, that was a great read, and I'm going to be having another opportunity, actually an opportunity to talk with Thiago fairly soon on the channel. I'm very excited about that. So I'm gonna get to pick his brain about his self-publishing process and his writing and so many other things. That's gonna be really fun. And I also reviewed, as a whole, the trilogy Book of the Ancestor by Mark Lawrence. It was really something I like to do when I get to the end of a series, when I read the final book, in this case, Holy Sister. I like to just discuss the entire trilogy, do a kind of or a series, do a kind of why you should read or why I love this series kind of video. I think that's a bit more broadly appealing than just a review of the final book in the series. And so that's what I've decided to do when I get to the end of a series from now on, is to do a kind of why you should read sort of thing. And I think it went very well. I've just found a new favorite trilogy by Mark Lawrence, which says a lot because Mark Lawrence was already a top writer for me. And Book of the Ancestor just hit all the right spots. I absolutely loved it. And I had a review / why you should read on The Prince of Nothing as well. Same deal. So I finished the Prince of Nothing trilogy with the Thousandfold Thought and gave my thoughts on the Thousandfold Thought. I don't know if my thoughts were 1,000-fold or not, but they were mostly positive, with some caveats. I think it's fair to say, mostly in the form of a kind of trigger warning, frankly, because there is a lot of sexual violence. But Baker is a brilliant, brilliant writer, and I'm so glad to have read the Prince of Nothing trilogy. I will be continuing with the rest of the second Apocalypse series. Eventually, not right away. I want to get to some other authors first. But later this year, I will return to the incredibly bleak world that R. Scott Baker has created there. And I'm sure I will be blown away by the rest of that series. And I also recently released a review of Fool's Errand by Robin Hobb. It's book 1 in the Tawny Man trilogy, which is the third series in the realm of the Elderlings. And wow, what can I say? What more can I say about Robin Hobb's brilliance as a writer, particularly a writer of character and the relationships between the characters? I have found a new favorite book by Robin Hobb, and I don't know what I'm going to do later in the realm of the Elderlings. If I assume, so based on what I hear a lot of love for Hobb's books, and I mean, a lot of people say it's the final trilogy that's their favorite, or another book in Tawny Man that's their favorite, and I'm just like, wow, how can it get any better than Fool's Errand? So I'm just so excited to continue reading in the realm of the Elderlings, and I will be reading a book a month in the realm of the Elderlings for the rest of this year, pretty much, except for the last couple months, because I think this is math, folks, so I don't think it'll take me the entire year to get through the rest, but close to the end of the year, I'll be finishing Realm of the Elderlings, and what a journey that will be. So what else? Discussions. I had a discussion on the channel, and I mentioned a moment ago finishing the Book of the Ancestor, and indeed I had a discussion on that as well with Angela from Do Unicorns Read. It is for the most part, full spoiler discussion, though we do give about 10 minutes in the beginning to just saying why we love this trilogy, and I had a really great time talking with Angela and learning from her and hearing her insights on this trilogy. I just loved it, and it's so much fun when you sit down with a friend and you talk about one of these things. This is my favorite part of BookTube, is sitting down with a friend and being able to discuss and enrich your experience of a book that way. It's just so wonderful, and that was a great example for me of how that can work on this platform. And I had some other videos. These were on a slightly different book series, the Edan trilogy by yours truly. I made my big announcement. That I am publishing my trilogy this year. All 3 books, with the goal of having book 1 out on March 21st, book 2 on June 21st, and book 3 on September 21st. And I think things are looking excellent for that schedule at the moment. Things are going really well. I've been putting in a lot of time, a lot of work into preparing the first book for publication. It has been a lot of learning for me, and I think the second and third books will go even faster because of all the learning I've done for book 1. And boy, I could not be more excited. I am just so excited. I made my publication announcement. I also released a chat with Dr. A.P. Canavan from A Critical Dragon on the prologue, specifically the first 2 paragraphs of the prologue from my first book, The Way of Edan. And it was great to sit down with AP and to hear his awesome, analysis of I just love hearing him talk about these close readings that he does on his channel. And it was very special for me to have him discuss the first couple paragraphs of my book in a way that I always find it so enlightening to listen to AP. And it was just a kind of a giddy little moment for me to have him doing that same treatment to my prologue. And so, yeah, I just loved that, and it's always great to talk with AP. And also, I made an announcement that I have found my audiobook narrator. And this is very exciting to me. I don't think there is a more perfect person to be narrating my trilogy. And when I hear certain voices that have been rattling around in this brain for the last 18 years or so, there is no one I know who could better bring them to life than Alan from the Library of Alexandria, and he is indeed going to be my audiobook narrator, and I'm so excited about that. Now, we are going to be taking our time. I mentioned the release dates for the paperback and the ebook being March 21st, June 21st, September 21st. I believe that the first audiobook will be out, hopefully. This is not a firm commitment yet, but hopefully by the end of the summer. Because Alan is going to need some time to set himself up. And he's got a very busy life, so I think it is going to be worth the wait, however, and we are going to put out what I think is going to be a fantastic audiobook. So I am so thrilled that Alan agreed to do this, and I can't wait. I just cannot wait to start working with him on it. So that's what happened on my channel since the week that was, but I also appeared in a few other places. I was so honored to be on Page Chewing early in this month, and I was joined there by the wonderful hosts, P.L. Stewart, and it was on actually Taylor's channel, Made Between the Pages, and they are just both such gracious, wonderful, and just wonderful people. I just had a great time talking with the two of them. We really started out talking about the relationship between the fantasy genre and academia, and that's a topic that I can go on and on and on about. But we also talked a lot about my upcoming trilogy and other things, and there were such nice, kind folks in the comments because it was a live stream. Really wonderful people there. So it was just for me, a bunch of interactions, and I had a wonderful time. I also was on this is a huge honor for me, this next thing. I cannot believe how amazing it felt to be mentioned by Patrick Leo on his SFF Spotlight number 19, where he mentioned my trilogy. And it was just so cool to appear along other self-published authors in that video, and all the fantasy news that Patrick collects. It's a great series that he does, his SFF Spotlight series. It's a great way to keep up with what is going on in fantasy, and Patrick is incredibly well informed. So that is definitely a highlight on BookTube for me. And by the way, also a few very kind people, and I'm not going to name people because I'm afraid I'm going to forget somebody, but some very kind individuals have even mentioned the Way of Edan, my first book, or even the whole trilogy, on their to read in 2023 videos or TBR videos and that sort of thing. And I'm just so honored and grateful for all of those mentions. Just incredible. Just incredible. I'm very excited for this year. So, elsewhere, I was in a video on The Thousandfold Thought, the third book in Prince of Nothing by R. Scott Baker. We've been having this great series of discussions on that trilogy. The first one was on my channel, and then we moved over to Joanna's channel, and the third chat on The Thousandfold Thought was with Raf on his channel, Raf Blutaxt, and Jimmy and Joanna joined us for that wonderful discussion. I just am, again, so grateful for the interactions, for the privilege of learning from my friends about these reads. Helped me to process a lot of things about that very complex series. There's just a lot going on there and a lot to discuss. You know you're reading something special when you can easily discuss one book for hours and hours and hours. So that was a great chat as well. And I was in a discussion on the Farseer trilogy, mentioning Robin Hobb again. You can never have enough Robin Hobb, right? So yes, on Mike's channel, Mike's Book Reviews, I'm part of an ongoing panel that includes Madison Goodyear and Scott, the Bald Booktuber, and Jake Bishop. And we are, the five of us, going through the various series in the realm of the Elderlings, beginning with the Farseer trilogy, which we discussed this month, and it was a great discussion with lots of fantastic people in the chat. These are full spoiler chats, though, so you won't want to watch it unless you have seen, or that is, read the Farseer trilogy. We're going to be discussing Live Ship Traders in February, and we're going to be discussing Tawny Man in March, which is when I'll be completing this amazing trilogy. And et cetera through the year. So later in the year, we'll be doing the next set of books, the one tetralogy in the realm of the Elderlings, the Rainwild Chronicles, and then finishing with the final, what is it, Fits in the Fool is the final one, I think, Fits in the Fool. I think I got that right. The final trilogy. So those will be happening later in the year as we get to them. So lots of exciting stuff there. I was also in a discussion with A.P. Canavan on his channel, A Critical Dragon, on othering and where we can find ourselves in fantasy. It was a very cool discussion. Hard to exactly describe what we were talking about, but I just felt so enraptured by the discussion because this is a genre that is incredibly enriching and enlightening for us. And to find ourselves in those pages and have that help us reflect on our own lives is something very special. So that was a great discussion. Also, I'm told that AP is doing another look at my prologue from the Way of Edan, and that is a video that will be coming out on his channel at some point in the near future. So I'm really excited to see what else he has to say. I guess he thought of a few other things that he wanted to say about the prologue in addition to what he said in the video on my channel. So very cool. And so now we get to what I am reading. So, whew, that was a lot of stuff. But I am reading some really great things. And again, this looks worse than it really is. Or better, I guess, maybe, depending on your perspective. But right now I'm actually about halfway through Legend by David Gemmell. This has been a long time coming, my reading of David Gemmell's books. And I'm starting with the Draenei books, with the original Legend. And so far, I'm having a really great time with this book. It's been a fun read so far. I'm going to do a dedicated review, a non-spoiler review about it, but I'm also going to be in a discussion on this on AP's channel, on A Critical Dragon, on Legend. And I am so looking forward to that. So yeah, look for some David Gemmell content in the near future. And then this, okay, here's where I can explain where this isn't as bad as it looks. I've actually already read half of this. So the way the various arcs in Vinland Saga are set up, the third arc ends about halfway through book 12. So I've only got half of book 12 to read and book 13 to read to finish Vinland Saga. And I'm going to be having a discussion on this last part of Vinland Saga with Murphy Napier. And that discussion will be on my channel. So it is so exciting to me to be finishing my first manga series. And why wait for the next series? We are going to jump right into Vagabond. This is my next manga read. And once again, I'll be talking with Murphy about this manga. And so our discussion on the first, this is a big chunker, isn't it? Wow. This is going to be cool. I've already started peeking at this, and I'm pretty blown away already by the art in here. I think this is going to be an incredible read based on what I've heard. So yeah, we're going to be discussing the first part of Vagabond. And that is going to be on Murphy's channel, which is her second channel now. It is now called Murphy Napier Reviews. It used to be Murphy Napier Vlogs. Now it is Murphy Napier Reviews. I think the title change reflects a little bit more broadly of what she actually does on that second channel of hers, where she does these in-depth dives into the book she's reading and has discussions with other booktubers. And so I am very fortunate to be able to discuss Vagabond with her. I'm excited. And this also, again, this looks worse than it is, but so this is an omnibus edition of the Book of the New Sun by Gene Wolfe. In other words, there are actually two books in here, and they're not too long, actually. So there are two books in here, and so I'm going to be reading the first of them very soon. And what is it called? The Shadow of the Torture? Is that the first one? Yeah, I guess. This thing is called Shadow and Claw. So it includes Shadow of the Torture and the Claw of the Conciliator. So the first one is the one I'm going to be reading. And eventually, of course, I'm going to read the entirety of the Book of the New Sun. There are 4 books, and I have this omnibus edition that includes 2 in 1. So, again, it looks a little worse than it is. So, yeah, I'm excited to finally be reading an author that many praise as one of the most brilliant ever to write in fantasy/science fiction. So, yeah, about time I'm getting to Gene Wolfe. I'm sure some of you will agree. And I'm going to try to squeeze in, I mentioned this, trying to maybe get this at the end of last year. Didn't happen. I've been very busy trying to get my book ready, being a department chair, being a family person, and all of that. So I've been a very busy fellow. And I really do want to get to Blood Rights and keep going in Dresden Files this year. It will happen. And so I'm hoping to squeeze this in the near future as well. And of course, I have to continue with my Hob read. This is major priority because I am going to read along with this, along with Mike. Mike and I are reading this at pretty much the same time. So Golden Fool, Book 2, and Tawny Man, that is definite. That is for sure happening. And also, what else have I got here? Oh, a couple other series that I want to start. This is a problem we have here on BookTube. Fortunately, I'm in good company. But yes, I have to start the Books of Babel, and I'm going to be in a discussion on the first one, Senlin Ascends, with, of course, Alan from the Library of Alexandria, but also Ben from Overly Average Ben is going to be joining us as we discuss Senlin Ascends. So I've got to get to this pretty soon. I'm in a buddy read. I'm committed, so I must get there. And also another one that I'm going to be in a buddy read with, Jade City. I am going to be discussing this, I hope, with Taylor from Made Between the Pages, and also Bookborn. I hope will be able to join us when we do this. So I got to get to this soon as well, because I've got people, I cannot let down people. And I've got some self-published books that I've got to get to pretty soon too. I've got a backlog of self-published books that I need to get to. So, and of course I'm excited about that. It's just a matter of finding the right time. But this is a good problem to have, everybody, I think. So, and I have some really cool stuff upcoming. I'm going to be in a discussion of The Things They Carried by Tim O'Brien. He was in the Vietnam War himself, is a Vietnam War veteran, wrote about the whole experience in this incredible series of stories, The Things They Carried. And that's going to be on Matt's channel on Sunday. Also going to be in a discussion with Jonathan from Words in Time. And he does primarily science fiction on his channel. But we will be doing a kind of exchange. He will be giving me some 5 recommendations for science fiction. I'll be giving him 5 fantasy recommendations. So that is going to be recorded soon, and I will let you know when that comes out. And there are lots of episodes of Dear Dr. Fantasy. Some are even recorded already, which I'm very excited about. I can tell you about the recorded ones. I had a wonderful time chatting with Jay from Captured in Words. Great time talking with him. He was just getting over COVID, so he was very sporting to show up for our discussion. And it was just so great to talk to him, get some insights from him, learn about his reading journey. And you guys are going to love this. Yes, it's finally happening. The episode of Dear Dr. Fantasy with the Nemesis, with a pecan of a critical dragon. It is happening. It is recorded, in fact. So, yes. And I even have the idea for the thumbnail. You guys are going to love this thumbnail. Yes, I am so excited to be releasing that episode of Dear Dr. Fantasy probably in a couple weeks, because I got to put them out, not too many at a time. So yeah, that's going to be happening. And I have a bunch of really wonderful people lined up for episodes of Dear Dr. Fantasy. And what else? Oh my goodness. I made a little recording for Grace Dion because she asked me for a book recommendation. She's reading recommendations from other booktubers all year, and I got picked for the month of January, so how cool is that? And I had recommended Beowulf to her. Yes, I'm making I'm making another poor person read Beowulf. It's my mission. It's my mission on BookTube. That's my secret mission, is to make you all read Beowulf. And Grace was willing to do so, so I'm excited to hear her reactions to the read, and I gave her a little clip, a minute and a half or something, to encourage her along the way. So also, I'm going to be, as I mentioned, I think already, did I mention this? I'm going to be discussing Legend with AP. Yes, I think I did mention that. So very excited for that. Lots of good things happening, and there will be more publishing news for you guys, I'm sure. I will update you as things come along, but in the near term, I think the next video is probably going to be the map reveal. Yes, I am so excited for this one. The map reveal, I'm going to sit down with Jack Shepard, the wonderful individual who is doing this map for me. I mentioned a few times that Jack has done a First Law map that is going to be appearing in a special edition of the First Law trilogy. So yeah, Jack knows what he's doing. And I have had glimpses along the way of what he's doing with Jormungand. That's the name of the world that I've created for my trilogy. I am just very, very excited to show you guys this map. And so there's going to be a video where I'm going to show you the map. And yeah, and other stuff coming up. So yeah, that's it for me, guys. And thank you so much for making this time so special for me. I love interacting with all of you in the comments, and I am so looking forward to hearing from you about all these reads and all these exciting things happening in the future. Until next time.